In 2016, the total QBR of Dak's is better than Russell Wilson's. And remember, that is the statistic that measures all of the different ways that a quarterback goes about helping his team win games. Those are numbers. Let's get to the story. Graziano, I'm starting with you. What is the latest as far as Dak and Dallas and getting some kind of deal done between now and a week from today?
Yeah, they're still talking, Greeny. Look, Dallas's focus is on Dak Prescott being their quarterback, trying to get him signed. This is the third offseason in a row we've been talking about this, and they're well aware of that. But what I was told last night, checking with sources on this, is they still want him, he still wants to be there, and there's work being done on a deal. And hopefully that gets consummated. If it does not get done by next Tuesday, which is the deadline for teams to franchise players, the Cowboys will certainly franchise him again, which would give them until July 15th to do a long-term deal. So that's where it stands. No major change at this point. They still intend and hope to get him signed. He hasn't expressed a desire to not be there. They haven't looked into Russell Wilson or any other quarterback options, and the Cowboys are still proceeding as if Dak Prescott will be their quarterback.
Okay, they've been doing that for a very long time. Let me bring the former Cowboy into the conversation. Marcus Spears, it's a pretty direct question. Should the Cowboys be looking into trading for Russell Wilson?
Absolutely. Absolutely, G. Listen, and this is not about an indictment on Dak Prescott. Russell Wilson is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott right now. I think Dak can reach the levels we've seen Russ play at. But the answer to the question is because of what has transpired, what Graz has talked about, the time that this contract has taken in order to get to the point where Dak is signed. So, yeah, they should be in the market. They don't know if Dak, Jerry alluded to the fact that Dak has all the leverage. We've been talking about that for a couple of weeks now. They don't know what Dak's going to do. They don't know if the offer that their best offer, whatever they can put forward that's considered their best from Dallas' perspective, they don't know if Dak is going to take that contract or take that deal. So, yeah, you should be in the market. And look, every team that either has quarterback questions or not solidified at their quarterback spot should be in the run in the trade for Russell Wilson. That's how good he is. But yes, Dallas should be thinking about it. They should be thinking about a lot of options because their current quarterback, i.e. Dak Prescott, has the ability to do whatever he wants to do in this negotiating process. So, yeah, they got to cover their backs like they did last year with Andy Dalton.
And in the event of a trade, Russell Wilson is actually much less expensive than Dak Prescott would be. Factor that in however you will. All right, Cam Jordan, it has been your job to chase after both of these men with not so pleasant intentions as you do so. How do you see it, this question of Russell Wilson versus Dak Prescott? How do you see it, Cam?
I mean, I'm always here for the idea of loyalty. Dak's been there since the beginning. Got drafted in the fourth round. You would love to see Dallas pay Dak, and I understand why everybody goes after a guy like Russell Wilson. He's a Super Bowl champion. Has been to Super Bowl twice, and ideally can make your team better with or without a powerful offensive line. That being said, if Cowboys feel like they're in a position to trade for Dak or for Russell, that's what you should be doing. In my mind, he's also going to the Saints, so I'm a little biased. So maybe Dak stays where he's at, and we make a run out of him.
Let me circle back to that in a second, because the Saints are one of the teams that his agent did say he would be interested in playing for if he were to change places. But you just mentioned something about you'd like to see Dak get paid. This is a topic of conversation on this show and sports talk shows. It feels like every single day around the league. What is the perception of Dak and the fact that the Cowboys, through all of this process, have still not managed to figure out a way to get a long-term deal done with him?
I mean, if you're talking to me, we're talking about exactly being franchised last year. I mean, Kirk Cousins was franchised twice before he found a major payday. It's a quarterback. And so if we're talking about the rate that he's going, I mean, not to count his pocket money, but being franchised last year, you figure if he's asking for 40 and he got 31 and change last year, if they franchise him again, he's going to be somewhere around that 34, 35, 36 mark. You're still a little bit cheaper than that 40 tag that was previously asked. So if we're talking about just numbers here, you're coming off cheaper with the franchise tag until you do decide to come into an agreement and make things happen. And if it doesn't, then he'll be $35 million richer, $36 million richer, whatever that quarterback franchise tag is worth.
One way or another, he wins, right? Dan, it's even more than that. It's almost $38 million. And one way or another, he wins financially. So we'll see. But let's then go back, Cam, to what you just said a moment ago. Your team, the New Orleans Saints, is another of the teams that his agent, again, this is Russell Wilson's agent on the record to Adam Schefter. This is not something that's being leaked. This is an agent directly on the record saying the Saints are a place he'd be interested to go. How does that sound to you, Cam Jordan, Russell Wilson in New Orleans?
It depends at what cost, but you think about what Russ brings to the game, and I can very much envision, again, if Drew decides to retire, then we look at Russ Wilson in that black and gold, that beautiful black and gold with Mike T, a healthy Mike T, Alvin Kamara. You're talking about, with the receiving core that we have now, add him and Emmanuel Sanders, Trayvon. I mean, I can see a lot happening with it. With that being said, it's all rumors, it's all hearsay until it does happen. But I can dream.
What was the "oh Lord" for there, Marcus Spears?
Because that offense is one Cam Jordan don't want to play against. If Russell Wilson was playing with the Saints offense and all of them weapons, man, because look, we see it transpire, right? We know what Russ is when you talk about off script plays, but Alvin Kamara is there. Like, just throw it 2 yards and it could go 90. Are you talking about Michael Thomas? Are you talking about Jared Cook or Emmanuel Sanders? With Russell Wilson's ability and how Sean Payton runs an offense, that would be scary. It would catapult them, in my opinion, to the best team in the NFC coming into the season, because Russell Wilson is like that. Like, I think people, like to Cam's point, I think people need to realize who we talking about. Like, I know we coming off the conversation with Russ for Dak, and I think Dak can reach the levels that Russ has. But right now, Russell Wilson being on the market is like Deshaun Watson being on the market. Your team gets that much better because that quarterback may decide to sign with your squad based on what we've seen him do year after year. And we heard Russ talk about it, which I didn't like very much, but he was telling the truth. We heard him talk about his protection. He's dealt with not having a formidable offensive line at all times. Put him over there with Teron Armstead and all of those big boys up there in New Orleans who had to protect the quarterback that wasn't mobile. And now you put Russell Wilson in that offense? Shoot, man. Listen, Cam will be glad he owned that defense during camp and not during the regular season. I guarantee you that.
Graziano, quickly, let me wrap it up with you. The people you talk to around the league, is the expectation that one place or another Russell is going to get traded this offseason?
No, I don't think anyone's ruled it out, but I know Seattle is not proceeding as though they're going to trade Russell Wilson. They're making their plan to build around him. That's where they are at this point. Again, can't rule it out. It would have to be a situation where Wilson made it essential, right? Like Deshaun Watson demanding a trade or Carson Wentz letting it be known he didn't want to be there anymore. That's not where Russell Wilson and the Seahawks are right now.
So we will see if that winds up happening again. It is the number one thing we're keeping a close eye on into the future. As far as the past